Hey guys, welcome back or welcome to my channel. If you are new here or don't know who I am, my name is Kenna and this is my plant channel where we talk about all things plant related. And today I have pulled some plants from my own collection that I just feel like aren't hyped and they should be. As we all know, there's a lot of plants today that a lot of people just buy for the hype, and that can be from like social media or like the plant community in their area. But I also feel like there's a lot of plants that are worth hyping up that maybe aren't hyped up. And I'm just gonna say, as always, this is just my personal opinion. Some of you may not think these plants are worth the hype, and that is totally okay. You can kindly leave that in the comments as to why you don't think they're worth a hype. But I do think this is gonna vary per area. Some of these plants may be really popular in your area, but I just feel like these are plants in my area that no one's really talking about that I think are really cool. And I have a couple that are more common, that are like pretty easy to find. And then I have a couple that are more uncommon. So let's get into it. The first one is my Antherium radicans. And a quick backstory on this plant, I imported this quite a while ago. And it took a turn for the worst and basically died back to nothing. And now it has come back and the chunk is continually getting bigger and we have a new leaf coming. But I think Antherium are not talked about enough in general because I think a lot of people, especially in my area, think that they're really hard and you can't really propagate them very easy. So a lot of people just don't collect them around here. And I love Antherium. I do think they can be harder, but for me, it's more of like a little challenge. My Antherium definitely get special care in my house, but this is an Antherium that I feel like not many people know about. And I think if people are into Antherium around here, it's more of like the big velvety leaved ones. And I'm really glad I imported this because I did not have any Antherium that weren't the like typical velvety, like the Clarinervium, crystallinum, all of those kind. But this one is so unique and I just think the leaf shape is really interesting and I love how the stems are purple. But I just think this plant isn't really hyped around here and I think it should be. Okay, the next one is Skindapsis, and not this one specifically, but I think Skindapsis are coming around. I think people are starting to get the hype, but I've been like trying to collect Skindapsis the past 2 or 3 months, and I have really grown to like them. I will admit, getting them started from cuttings and getting them to not put out a runner is really difficult, and I've started really struggling with that. But I still love them. I think they're so unique. This one specifically is the Skindapsis Silver Lady. And I feel like this one probably in my area is a little bit more hyped, you would say. But I think Skindapsis in general in my area are hard to find. There's not a lot of people that specifically try to collect Skindapsis. And I just think around here, they're hard to find. And I think it's because people don't have them in their collection or they don't like them. I think the Exotica and like the Silvery Ann and Argyrius, you can find those at big box stores, and so a lot of people have those. But I think Skindapsis are really cool plants, and especially if you're really into trailing plants. And I just think they don't get hyped up enough. I think a lot of people focus on like Hoya, Philodendron, Monstera, and I feel like Skindapsis in general just get left out of that group. Okay, so the next one is a pretty common houseplant. I think a couple years ago it was a little bit harder to find, but you can find it at most big box stores now, and I just feel like people don't like them, and I don't understand why. But that is a Manjula pothos. I have always loved Manjula. Ever since I first got my Manjula, I've loved it ever since. And if you were someone who didn't know anything about plants, I would totally think that this was a very uncommon plant that was super expensive. I just think this is a super cool plant with a very interesting pattern on the leaves. And I really like how the leaves don't lay flat. They almost like curl up like this. And I think it's super interesting. This is also a really great trailing plant if you like big trailing plants for your house. I think this is a great option. It's so easy. And like I said, if you didn't know any different, I think this plant totally looks expensive and cool, and I love Manjula pothos. Okay, the next one I just had to mention was my Emidrium silver. I think Emidrium, Tux, dude, you can't move the tripod. I think Emidrium in general are not talked about hardly at all. Like, I never see anyone just like raving about how cool Emidrium are, and I think they're so unique. I will admit they're a little bit harder, so if you're up for a challenge, this is definitely a plant for you. But I did not think Emidrium were cool until this new leaf popped out on mine, and I think it's the coolest thing ever. And no one is talking about Emidrium. I really want to start getting into Emidrium and get a couple more like rare varieties. I know this one is a little bit harder to find. Let me know in the comments if it's hard to find in your area, but I don't hardly see these at all, and I definitely don't see anyone talking about them. And they're really unique and cool. Emidrium silver. Oh, I had to put Tux out because he was literally gnawing on that bone so hard. That's all I could hear. So the next one is kind of surprising for me because I am not really into Peperomia at all. I have a couple that I really like, but typically I wouldn't say I collect Peperomia. But this one is different. I love this thing. This is a beetle Peperomia. There is a scientific name for it, but I'm not sure what it is. I will look it up and put it on the screen. But this Peperomia is more like a Hoya, I think. And I just love the veining on the leaves, and I like the growth pattern, how it trails down. Most Peperomia don't do that. And that reminds me, this is kind of another one. I feel like this one is hyped up maybe a little bit more, but this is a Dischidia ovata, and they're very similar. The Dischidia leaves are super thick and plump. It's really cool, but both of these I think are really fun trailing plants that are super easy, and I don't really hear much about around here. The next one is on a plank, so I will insert a video of it, but that is a Syngonium Macrophylla. I think Syngonium in general aren't talked about enough. I know a lot of people either really love them or they really hate them, and that's totally okay. But if you are someone who likes Syngonium, or honestly even someone who doesn't like Syngonium, I challenge you to buy the Syngonium and not like it, because I think it is so cool and it's so different from any of my plants and any of my Syngonium. But the leaves are super leathery. The texture is really unique, and it's hard to see in pictures, but in person, I promise it's so cool. The leaves get super long. They're like, I'll have to measure the leaf on mine and see how big it is, but the leaves are enormous, and you guys know I love Syngonium anyway, but I think that is definitely a Syngonium that people don't talk about enough. I think the texture really does it for that plant. So that is all the plants I have for today. I'm sure there's more I have around here that I think need to be hyped more, but like I said, let me know in the comments what you think in your area needs more hype, or that you think is really cool that other people might not think is so cool. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you like my content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow me on Instagram if you would like to see more planty content. I will see you guys in the next video.